In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you details of two of the best tariff-proof stocks. We're also going to be looking at MMTLP and talk of some big moves towards resolution, so stay tuned for that. And then we're going to be finishing off by having a look at a review of the previous week's weekly watch list. So let's first of all start by having a look at what's happening in the market. So first of all, from Market Watch, we can see the stock market today, the S&P 500 and the Dow are opening lower right now as investors are weighing the risk of the tariffs and also the impacts of the tariffs. And from CNBC, we can also see the stocks have been slipping, and Trump is now imposing a 25% tariff on autos. GM shares were dropping approximately 6%, so not great news for the auto industry. Let's have a look at a reaction from Ferrari, and they have stated they're going to hike prices by 10%, so the ultimate penalty will be paid by consumers with much higher prices. So let's have a look at some of the key automakers with the most exposure to the new Trump tariff autos. So we can see here the share of US sold vehicles made in the USA. We have the biggest beneficiary at the bottom there, Tesla, then Rivian, Ford, Honda, but some of the others which will be impacted more will include Volvo, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mercedes, Toyota, BMW and GM that we just saw. And let's now have a look at other news from Fox Business, and it states here the US economy is showing no signs of recession, so that's a little bit more positive. But let's have a look at some of the reasons why. And one of the news shared live in the Discord was with regard to morning economic data. There was a beat in the fourth quarter GDP. There was a price index beat. There was a PCE price. Quarter 4 came in line. Core PCE prices was a beat. Jobless claims was also a beat. However, consumer spending was a miss. Before we get started, I'd like to take 1 minute of your time to share details of the Trading Secrets Discord. This includes daily stock alerts shared in the pre-market, the weekly watches shared prior to trading on the Monday, the $1 Million Challenge, and much more. So we also have had some tremendous calls in the weekly watch list, as well as the daily stock alerts, and these include LEAS up over 152% on the week, DOMH up over 210% on the week, IGTI up over 77% on the week, and many more. We have a new channel called Top Ranked Stocks DD, and this includes PDF reports which you can download and use for research and due diligence. Obviously you can join us in live trading chat as well. We've just had a $2,000 Discord update which includes breaking news for stocks, including bio stocks, earnings, analyst ratings, Reddit news, why the stock is moving, and much more. And as well as that, you can join us in the famous $1 Million Challenge, where we look at compound return investing and 201 trades. And just a reminder of the power of compounding. If you have 1 cent, you double that for 30 days, you would have over $5 million, but we are using a strategy of just a 3.5% return. Let's start by having a look at two of the best tariff-proof stocks to buy in 2025. The first one I'm going to be sharing with you is ticker symbol MSFT, also known as Microsoft, in the technology sector, currently down over 9% on the year to date. It is rated as a strong buy, and the average 12-month forecast update for 2025 is looking at a return of a very healthy 29% predicted. So I also think Microsoft is currently a great buy price. So why are we looking at this as one of the key stocks and one of the best stocks to buy in terms of the current tariff situation? It has minimal reliance on physical imports on any kind. It's mostly a subscription-based service. It has a steady stream of revenue, and it obviously has a strong economic moat. It includes network effects. The value grows. They have a tremendous amount of advertising revenue as well, and cloud-based services. So, and it's growing highly also with the AI sector. So if we have a look at an outlook for 2025, there was a sell-off after recent earnings. However, prior to that, they have provided a number of standout earnings with impressive growth, and I do expect that to continue going forward. They're very strong on cloud network. They have some very strong revenue streams, including LinkedIn, GitHub. OpenAI is one of the areas that they were an early investor in, and obviously in AI I think they will dominate as well. So let's have a look at an overall summary from Microsoft in terms of the chart for the previous 1 year. They're currently down 7%, and I expect a strong bounce for 2025. And they are also a dividend paying stock, close to 1%. So ticker symbol MSFT, currently trading around about $390. And the second stock I'd like to share with you is ticker symbol DKE, also known as Duke Energy. So why are we looking at this? It's one of the largest utility companies in the United States. It obviously deals with energy, and unlike other businesses, it does not rely on any supply chains or imported materials, so therefore it is going to benefit from this tariff situation. So the core business is utility stocks. It delivers electricity and natural gas to domestic infrastructure and businesses, and it is also potentially one of the better stocks to hold in terms of risk of obviously recession and that kind of thing in terms of the market situation. So let's have a look at the outlook for 2025. First of all, they are also a dividend paying stock, and the current yield is a very impressive 3.5%. so that makes it an impressive stock to also look for the long term. The long-term growth strategy revolves around renewable energy, so they are going in the right way. They're looking at exploring solar, wind power, battery storage, so they're certainly not just a defensive stock but also a good long-term dividend paying stock. So let's finish off by having a look at an overall summary. So over the previous year, they're currently up over 24%, currently trading at $117.75, market cap on 91.61 billion, revenue of 29.93 billion, and a net income profit making just over 4.4 billion. So very impressive figures here for the UK. Let's now look at MMTLP. I'm going to start by giving a shout out to John Berder, who stated AST told us there would be settlement beyond the date as X clearing, and this could take longer as brokers were settling with other brokers, and add to the fact that the DTCC told Karma Collects that they never cleared MMTLP, it was all X clearing. So it does appear that FINRA lied. So that's according to John Berder, and he's posted this in response to a post from Marduk. Go ahead and check that post out, certainly very interesting. And he states here, even if we traded on the 14th, there was time to settle, and you don't need a symbol to settle, just an ISIN number. So some great DD there by Marduk. But I'm going to move on to look at a legal update, and this is John Berder's reply in support of a motion to exclude improperly obtained evidence in the SEC enforcement action against him and also against George Palikaros. So he states basically in this situation that the SEC is using its investigative power to conduct discovery into matters squarely relevant to the case, but obviously discovery is being conducted in violation of the court's order and the federal rules of civil procedure. So let's dig into a little bit of details about what has been shared. And in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, SEC versus John Berder and George Palikaros, we can see here John Berder's reply in support of the motion to exclude improperly obtained evidence. And some of the details here in terms of the arguments, he states here the full scope and the extent of the SEC's improperly and discovery abuse under the guise of MMTLP matter is unknown. The SEC has not explained to Mr. Berder or the court what it is doing, so it certainly seems to be doing nothing in the MMTLP fiasco. All of us are aware of that. And one of the arguments here is with regard to the subpoena. Remember, George Palikaros shared some tremendous news on the subpoenas, and he's stating here the subpoenas are related to this lawsuit. The SEC's third-party subpoenas are squarely related to the lawsuit when the SEC concedes, and this may incidentally include some limited amounts of discoverable information. So it certainly looks like some strong blows there to the SEC. So moving on to Ocelot. There's a reaction here from one of the exhibits, and he's pointed out with regard to Exhibit A is another subpoena of an unidentified individual. It is blacked out, so that's Exhibit A. You can go ahead and check that out on the court listener page. It's dated February the 27th, 2025, demanding production of certain documents, including record of information concerning your transactions held by the financial institutions named. So I'd be interested to find out who the name blacked out there is, because certainly that's very interesting. And finally, shout out here to P. Scott and Paul T. P has stated, anyone sincerely know what NextBridge Hydrocarbons plans are going forward, if any, trying to hold on some hope that this will all get resolved. So Paul has shared an interesting chat from a space call, so we're going to have a look at details of this. And this is from Chad Faulkner on the space call on the 26th of the 2nd, 2025. So let's have a look at a summary of this just for reassurance. And he states here, say he had a great meeting with the people in Howard Lutnick's world, the new SEC chair. MMTLP is in their office. They're aware that you all exist. They're aware that Gary Gensler, first of all, refused to do anything about it. I think we're all aware of that. And he told me without saying anything that we don't understand why they just don't get a share count. So we're not asking for much. And I'm trying to get a meeting with Howard Lutnick, so let's see how that plays out. And then final part of the excerpt, we can see here Ed Martin, who is a US attorney, has shown some interest, and the US attorney is doing some big things, so we'll see if there are any developments on that. But Chad also goes on to say we are moving in the right direction. He thinks we're a lot closer to the light at the end of the tunnel than not, and MMTLP is regarded and understood in the Securities Exchange Office, obviously where Gary Gensler previously existed. Finally, I'd like to finish off by giving a quick review to the previous week's weekly watch list. Some of the great calls that we had included CNL up over 21%, NAOV up over 13%, DXYZ, that was up over 8.5%, VSCO up over 10.7%, CVI up over 9.9%, and PDD up over 3%, with many great calls in a very difficult trading week. And right now, other news shared there in the live Discord was with regard to CNXC. So news was shared there. Also news shared with regard to ticker symbol DRME, who had a phase 3 trial top line data meeting all primary endpoints. So if you would like to get live trading news as well as insider buys and join us in the challenge, details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.